How you doing today, folks? And welcome to Red Wolf EDC. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to structure this thumbnail right, but I'm thinking about doing a buyer be aware. And I want to be very, very clear if you're watching this. If it says beware, it's not beware, like this is an all bad maker. It's be aware because there's a few different things that are a little bit shady, but overall, the work that is in this box is absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend the guy. As long as you are perfectly, and I mean perfectly, aware of these inconsistencies. So, first off, this is in regards to iSir Industries or Thomas Kennard. Now, before doing business with this man, right, I had heard a number of things that were a little concerning, mostly about can't talk, a propensity to just lie, just like a bold-faced pathological liar. Now, I do agree with that sentiment, but to be clear, one of the primary definitions of being a pathological liar is that you believe the things you are telling people. So I don't necessarily think that Thomas is a bad person. I think that when he tells you that's going to be done on this date, on this time, this is going to be taken care of right now, yada, 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 for whatever reason, he genuinely believes that to be the case. However, it's simply not. So if you do business with iSir Industries, expect lies. Again, I don't think he's a bad person, but if you tell someone one thing and that is factually inaccurate, that is a lie. There's no two ways around that. So expect those pieces of dishonesty. Expect him to tell you that that your knife will be done tomorrow or the next day or you're next in line or a number of different types of things, and then months and months and months to pass. Now, for me, that was definitely an irritation, which is why I'm kind of making this video. I wasn't going to at first, but I have multiple friends in the industry, right? Some of which are actually on his books right now that are all going through the exact same thing I am. So this is not a fluke. This is just how he does business. So things need to be reorganized, restructured. He needs to actually maybe if somebody else deals customer service, and then he just deals with the actual making of the products. Now, there's ways that this can go about working very, very well. But as it currently sits, there's just some issues. A very big issue for me, though, however, is that before paying this man, I told him what I wanted. I sent him pictures of it, gave him ideas and everything else. But I also specified I wanted a custom design in the actual folder. And I specified that I'm going to ask you to design that. Now, my original thing, right, is that, hey, what we can do is take, the Volk knot, which is right here on my back, tattooed on my stomach. It's a symbol, right, that means a great deal to me. But we can take the Volk knot and put that in the folder with like some filigree or something like that. I was pretty open. I was like, or if you wanted to do your own thing, man, and make some crazy custom design that's really going to showcase your talent, then, I'm cool with that as well. What happened is that he pulled random images off the internet as his work and was like, hey, how about this? Hey, how about this? Here's this. And I'm like, dude, I asked you to design something custom. You said you could. Later on, he said that he couldn't and didn't offer that service. But the only reason why I paid you, man, is because you told me that you offered that service. That to me is dishonest, shady, and very much a problem. Now, to be clear, I'm very happy with what I have in this box, which I'm going to show you right now, about 3 minutes into the video. So, sorry about that. So, it being a Medford, you have this very nice white box, American flag, hoorah. Hard case. Put the knife to the side right now. Very nice certificate of authenticity. Booklet. A actually really cool patch. This probably can go on my dog's vest. This is really, really nifty. Just a hard case. So here is the actual finished product. Now, I'm not sure how well it's showing up on camera, right? But it has, you know, a slight texturization right down to the actual flats, and then on the high parts of the actual rock pattern, or excuse me, stained glass pattern is it has like a nice polish to it. So it has this really almost like three-dimensional look to it. And let's be honest here, folks, like it looks, in my humble opinion, absolutely fantastic. The work is very, very good. As far as the actual fuller, this is not a custom design. This is something we pulled from the internet and we just kind of went with it because he was like, well, hey, I can't do that. Again, dishonest, fundamentally wrong, but it is what it is. Now, as you can see, it's not bad looking. It's literally a couple different ravens, Hugin and Mugen, the couple different ships, and then there has a nice prominent Vulcanot in the center with some waves in the background or whatever. Overall, right, I'm happy with it. But as you can kind of tell from the blade, this has been used pretty heavily. It's because I recorded this video, did an unboxing. I was overall very, very happy with it because I really was. I still am very happy with this product. But then I kept hearing more about people having similar problems and having the exact same thing happen to them that happened to me. And I take my platform, as small as it is, right, 3,000 something subscribers, small platform, but I take that very, very seriously. I'm not going to recommend something to you guys that I don't fully endorse, I don't absolutely freaking love. And for me, even though I love this knife and I fully endorsed it in that video, ultimately I deleted that video because, again, this is not a buyer beware situation. He's not a scammer, but it's definitely a buyer be aware because there are a few different things there, man, that just really don't add up and are frankly not okay. But if with full knowledge and disclosure, you understand those things and you want something like this and you're willing to wait for it, potentially a long time, this is absolutely fantastic. It feels amazing in hand. Overall, I really, really like this. Now, this is a Praetorian T Tonto. Overall, just a beautiful knife. And the actual work that Thomas did, I mean, it really does speak for itself. Absolutely fantastic. And the fuller, even though it is not what I wanted, it's pretty damn cool. I can't lie. Now, as far as actually in use, this is going to be just talking about the knife itself, right? We're going to ignore the whole problems with Thomas. I love this. I don't love it as much as my 187 DPT. I don't love it as much as my Marauders. For me, the Praetorian platform is very, very iconic. It's very interesting, very eye-catching, it's very distinctive, but it's not the most ergonomically sound piece. People are like, oh, well, it's meant to wear gloves. Okay, but like the Fat Daddy is great in hand, but it feels better in gloves, to be fair. But the Praetorian, generally speaking, feels horrible in hand, but it feels good in gloves. It doesn't make sense to me, right? That to me is illogical. The Praetorian T is a thinner overall design. It has a little bit of contouring as far as I can tell. And overall, it feels much, much better. The Praetorian tie feels like you're cutting with a brick. Now, to be clear, it does cut. I have a whole video talking about that, right? Where I'm like, hey, people say this knife doesn't cut. Yes, it cuts. It does everything a knife's supposed to do. It's not a bad knife by any means, but ergonomically, it is definitely leaving something to be desired. It doesn't feel good. Now, the Praetorian T, it doesn't feel great either. It feels good. It's not great. It's very middle of the road, but at least it's not just a constant hot spot like the Praetorian tie is, at least for me. So that to me is a very fantastic thing. Also, the way this knife was actually sculpted with the stained glass patterning, it also reflects underneath the clip, which heavily increases the retention, but not in such a way it's going to actually like damage your pocket or anything like that. Overall, it actually feels really, really good. Now, I don't know if this knife was sharpened by Thomas or anything like that, so I can't speak about that. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. The action, you do have to use wrist. Now, I own quite a few Medfords, and surprisingly enough, none of those do I have to use wrist on anymore. Back in the day, you'd have to be like, "Wow!" and fucking flip open and scare everybody. But you couldn't just flick it. Now this almost locks out, so this might over time get smoother to where you can just not use wrist. Fail. But right now, you do have to use wrist, just a little bit of wrist. Just it's not really a problem. The slow roll, on the other hand, feels fantastic, and the lasering on the actual folder provides a little bit of texture, a little bit of tackiness. So you're able to just actuate it really, really nicely. And I'm a weirdo, man. Like, my favorite thing to do is to slow roll knives. So and it feels like absolute butter. And Medford's one of those brands, right? Everybody seems to like, for the most part, dislike. But credit where credit is due. Everyone talks about Sebenza smoothness. I think Medford's are genuinely smoother than the Sebenza, and it's not close. When you open these knives, especially in a slow roll, there is zero resistance. Like, it feels like the most glassy, smooth thing ever. Now, I own 4 Sebenzas, 3 Zans. I did own 3 Incostis. I own 2 Incostis now. Smalls, larges, all that shit. And they feel great. But this does just feel better. And, for me, that's an amazing thing. So overall, as my own personal opinion, what would I give this knife? I have this thing, right, where when I modify a knife or when I get a knife modified, it becomes perfect to me. This to me is a 10. It's perfect. That being said, it's probably not going to be that for you, modified or otherwise. These knives they don't feel great in hand. I love it. It's iconic. It's beautiful. It's interesting. It's eye-catching. But it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. Now, Medford's come a long way with their machining. It's a lot better than it ever actually was. But it's still not great, unfortunately. That being said, as far as ICE or industry as a whole, would I recommend him? With the very clear understanding, right, that it's probably not going to go as planned. Yes, I would definitely buy from Thomas again. However, I would do so with the expectation of it being a long time, with being lied to a whole bunch of different times, just being told things are happening that weren't actually happening. Just be aware of what it actually is. The guy's not a scammer. You're going to get what you paid for at the end of the day, for the most part, minus the custom, touches, I guess. But, you will get what you pay for. It's just not the smoothest experience. So again, this is not buyer beware. It's not oogie boogie. It's buyer be aware, because the guy's great, but there definitely are some problems. Now, as always, folks, I love you all. Please take care, and goodbye.